Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be creating a very clean and simple card with lots of die cut pieces and a letterpress sentiment strip. We also have a fun and beautiful embossed background. With varying shades of pinks paired with a stark white background, I have a very beautiful and elegant card design for you guys today. Before we take a look at the products and the techniques used, I would really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. I'm using the Pieced Heart Etched Die, which is part of the Just Saying collection by Kelly Banks for Spellbinders. Now here we have two set of metal dies, a solid heart which would cut out the shadow layer for our focal point, and the second one which cuts out little pieces which we can be assembled together to create a beautiful layered heart shape. I'll be using the second piece and cutting it out in various shades of pink cardstocks to create our focal point. You'll see that this heart is definitely bigger than a standard A2 size card base. I will be placing the focal point in an angle, well, in a way that it covers most of my card front but also leaves room for a beautiful floral embossed background. Here are the five shades of pink cardstock that I'll be using, and I'll be cutting little strips of these cardstocks and placing them in between those die cut lines to create a beautiful ombre effect for my final focal point image. Well, now I'm not showing how I cut each of these little pieces. That's pretty straightforward. I have a little piece of cardstock placed on each of those gaps. I then cut the cardstock from the lightest shade moving towards the darkest shade of pink. I use my Spellbinders die cutting machine to cut out all these pieces. Once all of the pieces are cut, you can place them together more like puzzle piecing them to get this beautiful big heart focal point. Now, before we assemble it onto an A2 size panel, I decided to use the bold floral embossing folder. Now, this is a huge embossing folder measuring 5.5 by 8.5 inches. This is a beautiful floral background with different sizes of leaves and flowers and lots of fun dot designs. This embossing folder is again part of the Just Saying collection by Spellbinders. Just take a look at how pretty the design looks. Now that my background panel is ready, all we need to do is assemble these little pieces together to create a focal point. Now, another way to add texture to your card front would be adding texture to the focal point image instead of the background. For that, all you need to do is assemble the little pieces of heart and then run this focal point image sandwiched between the embossing folder. This would create a beautiful textured embossed focal point rather than having an embossed background. I did place the metal die over the background panel just to make sure that I have the positioning of the pieces correct. Once I adhere my first piece, it's very easy to follow the pattern and adhere the rest of the little pieces to create a beautiful heart focal point. I used liquid glue to adhere all of these little die cut pieces to create my focal point. Now, if you wanted, you could also use some foam tape and pop up these little pieces for an added dimension. You could also layer them onto that shadow piece. Well, there are so many ways you could use this die set. Once my focal point was ready, I trimmed off all the extra pieces that were hanging off the edge. It was now time to choose a beautiful sentiment for this card. Now, this card design would really go for any occasion card. You could make it into a birthday card, thank you card, or even just a thinking of you card. Now, for my sentiment, I use the Always and Forever letterpress sentiment strips. Now, this set has some really beautiful sentiments which are perfect for your everyday occasions. We have sentiments like Feel Better Soon, Hello Sweet Friend, Forever Grateful, You're My Everything, So Proud of You, and lots more. This set also comes with a coordinating die that cuts out all of these sentiments at once. Well, for my card, I used Thanks a Million Sentiment. You could basically use any of these little sentiment strips here. This card is absolutely perfect for that. I think this would also be absolutely perfect for the Feel Better Soon sentiment as well. So I have my card front and my sentiment strip ready. It's now time to assemble this onto a card base. I used one of those medium shades of pink for my card base and I popped up the card front panel using some foam tape. I added a very thin strip of foam tape for my sentiment strip as well. Well, I like to use my liquid glue over the foam tape. This gives some wiggle room to make sure that the sentiment strip is perfectly aligned before I finally adhere it down onto the card front. I like to use my T-square ruler to align the sentiment strip and make sure it's completely straight. Now, to add some bling to the card front, I decided to use very light pink colored gemstones by Simon Says. I love the hint of sparkle that these gemstones add to this very clean and simple card front. I adhered them using my liquid glue. Here's a look at the finished card. I love how beautiful this card turned out. Now, this is a card project that you could definitely mass produce and create using a variety of different colors and different sentiment strips. Well, I used pinks, but I would definitely try these in different shades of reds, purples, blues, teals, greens, and yellows and oranges. Now, you could create a rainbow colored heart focal point too. Like I mentioned, there are so many different ways you could use this die set. Well, I had so much fun creating this card project, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video too. All the supplies that I used to create this card will be linked down in the description box below. Note that all the links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.